nearly 40 million years ago, expansion started west. The earth began to cool, the artichokes began to drool, the animals and elephants, we built the wall, we built the pyramids. Math, science, history, unraveling the mystery that all started with the Big Bang. By Friday we're going to nail it. We're going to get an explosion at just the right place. Maybe if we had one more try. Okay, so today's assembly is brought to you by Science and Music. Big Bang Theory. I really love Big Bang Theory, and I like it for lots and lots of different reasons. One of them being we get to explode a hydrogen balloon in assembly, which is always nice. Another reason that I like Big Bang Theory is because it's quite amazing when you think about it. Because like the song says, we're talking about something that we think happened nearly 14 billion years ago. And again, like the song says, what we're saying is nearly 14 billion years ago, the entire universe, as we know it right now, was in a tiny, tiny little hot, dense state called a singularity. And how do we know this? Well, we know this because when we look out at the distant galaxies, and it doesn't matter what direction we look, everywhere, every single direction, when we look out at the distant galaxies, we see that they are moving away from us. And they're moving really fast. Some of them, the most distant ones, are moving away from us at nearly the speed of light. Now that means that the universe is very much bigger now than it was when I started this sentence. It's way bigger than it was last Wednesday. It's unimaginably bigger than it was a year ago. And in fact, that's what scientists did. They sort of started playing this game. They were looking at the size of the universe, and they could see how quickly galaxies were moving away, how quickly the universe was expanding. And they said, well, if we know how quickly it's expanding, we know how big it is now, we can work out how big it was 100 years ago. We could work out how big it was 1,000 years ago, or 1,000,000 years ago. And they kept going backwards in time until they got to this figure, 13.72 billion years ago. Everything was so close together, it was all stacked on top of each other in a hot, dense point. Another thing I like about theory, though, is you've all heard of it. You've all heard of the Big Bang Theory. It is such a well-known theory, such a well-established theory, that people have written songs about it. There's even a sitcom that is named after that theory. That's how well-known it is. And yet, despite the fact that we have all heard of this theory, Einstein didn't know it. One of the greatest scientific minds of all time, he didn't know about this theory. And I find that fascinating. He thought that the universe was infinite and static and unchanging, and how it is now is how it has always been. And he was wrong, and you all know different now. And the reason for that is, of course, like all great scientific theories, the reason for that is it was discovered. And actually it was discovered in about the 1930s, which was some time after Einstein was doing his best work. And really, that's the theme of this assembly, discovery. Now, this assembly was supposed to be brought to you during National Science and Engineering Week. That was actually about 6 weeks ago. I got bumped for comic relief, which seems fair enough, I suppose, because it was all for a good cause. But because this isn't National Science and Engineering Week anymore, it didn't seem right to just do an assembly all about science. I thought I could stick to discovery, but maybe it shouldn't be all about science. So I started thinking about other things that could be related to discoveries. And so, being as I work here and I'm doing an assembly here, I started thinking about school. Oh no, I've missed out a bit. I was going to tell you that it was going to be about Einstein's theories, but because it's not Science and Engineering Week, I thought I'd talk to you about school. And there's this little rant I have, especially for my form group, and they hear it all the time. And I always say, look, you come here for 2 reasons. You come here to pass some exams, and we all know that's really, really important. You of all people know that's really, really important. But the other reason you come to secondary school is to grow up. And I don't mean that in the grumpy teacher sort of way, oh, just grow up. I mean it literally. Because you arrive here as little year 6 students, really, don't you? Little strangers walking around with rucksacks bigger than you, You're little children when you arrive. But by the time you leave, which isn't far away for you lot now, you leave as young adults. You've made a huge step, huge leap towards becoming the adult that you will one day be. And I thought back to my secondary school years, and I also thought about the adult that I have become. And I thought about a discovery I've recently made, which is Twitter, as you know. There's still not enough of you following me, by the way. And on Twitter and Facebook and all these other social networking sites, you have to do a biography, don't you? You have to say a little bit about yourself so that anyone looking at your page knows what you're like. And I thought, well, what would my biography look like? So I sort of wrote down some notes. And I thought, well, number one, I'm a parent. And that is by far and away the most important thing in my life. But the other things, you probably know, I'm a science teacher. Obviously, I really like science. I'm a runner. I love running. I'm sort of a musician, and I love reading books. And when I was writing that biography, what I realised was every single one of those things I discovered when I was your age. Well, except the parent one. But the other four things I discovered when I was your age, when I was at secondary school, all of them. And so that led me to a question along this theme of discovery. My question was, what will you discover in your time here? Now, it's a strange question to ask you guys, isn't it? As you near the end of your time here. And I suppose maybe I should change it. This was quite nice. For year 7s and year 8s and year 9s, I was able to ask them, what will you do? What will you do with the opportunities you're offered here? And actually, it's a slightly different question for you guys. I suppose I could ask, what have you done with the opportunities you're offered here? What have you done with your time here? And maybe what will you do in your sixth form colleges? What discoveries will you make about yourself that will stay with you forever? Because those discoveries I've been with me 20 years, they've been a part of me for 20 years. So I started thinking, well, maybe you've discovered a sport down in PE that you really love. I've got a picture of ultimate frisbee there. That's something I discovered recently. Maybe you'll discover that you've got a passion for music, or that you've got potential to be a really great musician. Maybe you've discovered that you're a fantastic actor. Maybe you've discovered in your time here, you know, there was that student or there was that teacher that you didn't like in year 7 and year 8 and stuff, and you've discovered that actually they're a really decent person. You can't really remember why you've fallen out with them in the first place. So what discoveries have you made? Because I think this school is actually quite an amazing place. As I sort of look around at what's going on in the different departments this year, because there are so many opportunities given to the students here, which is quite an important word, that opportunity. Because when I'm talking about your discoveries, the discoveries that you may have made here, and the discoveries that you may well make when you're at sixth form college, when we're talking about those, the most important thing is that you are the only person that can make them. No one else can make those discoveries for you. No one else can grow up for you. You have to take responsibility for that. And you look at the opportunities you've been offered here. We've got people this year going off to perform at the Curve with drama. Perform. Not go and watch something at the Curve, to go and perform at the Curve. We had PE taking students down to Twickenham to play rugby on the pitch. Again, not just going to watch, but actually to play on the pitch at Twickenham. We've got students in year 10, and some students in here did make the most of this opportunity, going off to Geneva to see the CERN project, the greatest scientific project of all time. And I think what fantastic opportunities you are offered. And I think that's something that's worth taking away, isn't it? When people, and this is what I say to my form all the time, when people give you these opportunities, it is your responsibility to grab them with both hands and make those discoveries for yourselves. And there's sort of one more opportunity left for you at the school, isn't there, in your final weeks. Teachers all over this school are offering you the opportunity to be successful in your GCSE exams. There are revision classes going on, there are science teachers setting up Twitter, there are people offering you help everywhere. What an opportunity. So you need to make the discovery that actually you can be successful in these GCSE exams. And there are people here who are willing to help you, but it's your responsibility to go and do something about it. Now, that's really the end of the discovery theme, but I thought, well, do you know what? We started with a song, so maybe we ought to finish with a song as well, but I actually need a little bit of help with this one. Mr. Piper's going to come and help me with this one. It's also got a discovery theme. If we change the slides, you might be able to work out what it is. iodine and